If you got a KTM 65SX leaking gas, you've come to the right place. Hey guys, my name's Nate. This is Trails and Turf Garage. We got a KTM in the shop today. This is a 2008 KTM 65SX. It's not something I'm super used to working on, but we're going to figure it out today. Basically, it came in for leaking fuel. The customer said his grandkids ride it around and it runs fine, just fine enough for them, but he's tired of it leaking fuel in the garage when they're not using it. Looks like they put a new petcock on it already, so we don't have to worry about that, but it was leaking out of the carburetor, which I already removed. The audio was pretty messed up on my footage from me removing it, but I'm probably going to post it anyways. Just to catch you guys up, here's where we're at. We got to take off the intake boot and 3 hose clamps. You got your hose clamp for the fuel line, of course. You got a hose clamp on your airbox side, and then you got your engine side. The carburetor fit out this hole with a little bit of finagling, and we got it on the bench. Now this is a Mikuni carburetor, which is good news for me because I'm a Polaris guy. It is a pretty small one, but it's got all the basic parts we're used to. I've got it all taken down here. I will show you guys in more detail how to put it back together. But like I said before, my audio got messed up when I was doing the disassembly for you. Basically what we have here is our carburetor body. We have our carburetor bowl, our float bowl. We have our floats, our float pin. We have our idle speed screw here, our needle and our seat. We have our pilot screw here, our pilot jet here, our main jet with the emulsion tube, and our choke, and our bowl screws, and we have some sort of a splash guard here. We're going to get some parts on order. Once the parts come in, I'll get with you guys, show you the parts, and show you how to build that carburetor. Hey guys, I'm back. It's been about a week and a half. It took a little while to get some of the parts for this KTM, but we got them. Let's go over what we got, and then we'll get to installing them. First, I just got a latch kit for the seat because it was missing altogether. We got the carb rebuild kit. It's got the gasket, the needle and seat, and the bowl ring and the screws. We got the intake boot that was cracked. And we got the main jet and the pilot jet. We did not get the emulsion tube. We're going to clean that as well as we can and reuse it. And of course, we got a sticker from motorsport.com. All right, first things first, we're going to take all our parts that we're going to replace, put them off to the side. Our pilot jet, our needle and seat, our gasket, of course, and then our main jet. Gonna have to reuse this. We'll go ahead and put it here in this cup. We'll be reusing the choke. We're not going to soak this because it's got plastic parts still on it, but we'll go ahead and soak the idle screw in the spring. And then we'll take off the O-ring on the air fuel screw. And then we'll go ahead and put the screw and the spring in here to soak as well, along with the pin. We're not going to soak this because this is plastic as well. And we can get rid of our screws because the rebuild kit came with those. Go ahead and get our drain off the bowl. We're going to scrape some of that out before we soak it. Then we can take the O-ring off this guy because we'll have a new one of those. Okay. I typically like to soak the whole carb body as well, usually in an ultrasonic cleaner with Simple Green or something like that. Sometimes I'll even use vinegar, but I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner in the shop yet. And this thing ran before we took it apart anyways, so I'm going to get most of it with carb cleaner and then call it a day. Alright, the small parts have been soaking for 10 minutes or so. While they were soaking, we cleaned the carb body and the bowl. Now it's ready to get it put back together. The carb kit I'm using is a Moose Racing kit. There's the part number if you guys need it. The main jet and the pilot jet are factory KTM part numbers. These are the part numbers I'm using here. The jet is a 205. That is the largest the factory recommends on their parts breakdown, and it's what was in it before. It's got an aftermarket exhaust and some aftermarket parts, so we're going to use the 205. We're going to go ahead and get started with the seat. Make sure you get the gasket on the bottom here. Seat goes right here. The seat on this carb is a 10 millimeter. So we've got a 10 millimeter here. We'll try not to lose it. Now these should probably be torqued, but I've done plenty of these carburetors. These are brass parts. So you're going to want to use your smallest ratchet or wrench to make sure you don't over tighten them. Brass is fairly easy to strip, so just be careful. All right, after that, we'll do the emulsion tube. This is what the main jet sits in. Goes right here in the middle. This guy's going to be an 8 millimeter. Just snug enough it won't back out. Then on top of there goes our new 205 main jet. That guy is a 6mm. Be extra careful with this one. Does not need to be too tight at all. And right behind that guy, I'll show you from this side, we need our pilot jet, which is our idle jet. That guy uses a small flathead screwdriver. That one ahead was too big, actually. This guy should work just fine. Once again, not too tight. These are all brass parts. All right, we'll take our idle speed screw and the spring that goes on it. And then we'll go in this side here. I did not mark how far this one was in before, so we'll just go off the idle speed later on when we get it installed. This guy here is your air fuel screw. This guy gets this spring, and then the little tiny washer, and then the little tiny O-ring. Do not, under any circumstances, drop them and almost lose them like I just did. Just make sure they're all on. And then they're going to go in this hole right here. Now on this screw, we're going to go all the way in until it's seated. So until it stops. And then for this machine, we're going to start with 1.5 turns out and see how it idles, and make minor adjustments if we don't like the way it's idling. So we're stopped. I'm going to do 1/2 turn, 1 turn, 1.5 turns out from all the way in. And these are our floats. We take our inlet needle and we hook it around the top here like this, and then drop the needle into the seat. And then we can put our pin through the float. We'll take our choke assembly, or our enrichment assembly. We'll thread that in this corner. This machine, that is a 12mm. Sorry about that, guys. The splash guard goes on top of the emulsion tube, so we got to take that guy back off real quick. The splash guard sits like this, and then we put our emulsion tube on. Now that we got those guys in, we can go ahead and get our bowl on. This gasket's only going to go one way because the vent line is over here on this side. Put your gasket on, put your bowl on, and then get your new screws in. And we'll get our new O-ring and our drain plug. And we'll get that tightened down as well. Started raining outside. Sorry if it gets a little bit noisy in here. Hopefully the microphone will take most of that out. Now that we got the carburetor put back together, because this was a complaint about fuel leaking out of the carburetor, we're going to go ahead and do a pressure test or a leakage test of the needle and seat. So we're going to use this Mightyvac for that. My model number is the Mightyvac MV8500. Any of the Mightyvac model numbers are a good option for a test like this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our Mightyvac, we're going to make sure it's set to pressure. We've got the arrow pointing this way. We're going to take one of our hoses that came on our Mightyvac set, and we're going to hook it right up to the fuel inlet of the carburetor. Now what we want to find out is how much pressure this inlet needle will hold. Most carburetors hold typically 10 to 13 pounds. So we're going to start pumping up our Mightyvac with the carburetor upside down. And we're only holding about 5 pounds. So we got something to figure out here. Alright guys, I'm used to working on much bigger Mikunis than this. I did a little bit of research. I found a couple sources that say 3 to 5 psi is just fine on a small carb like this. And it's holding 6 psi just fine, so I think we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and get it put back in the bike. I decided we'll have a much easier time getting this carb back in if we take this rear fender off and take the airbox out. So we're going to try to do that first. And I already changed my mind. Looks like you have to take the whole rear frame off to get the airbox out. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to push it back as far as we can. Alright, when you put the throttle valve back in the carburetor, you just got to make sure that this notch here lines up with your idle adjustment. If you do that correctly, it'll slide all the way down. And you could screw the cap on. Hey guys, I didn't film anything else on the KTM. I got frustrated and took it apart again, so I didn't film anything else, but we did get it put back together. I got an OEM needle instead of the Moose one that I tried before. and I changed the float height a little bit. So basically, the lower the floats are, the less fuel it takes to push the float up and close the inlet needle. So I lowered the floats by bending the tab that pushes the needle, and we've got no more leak. This carburetor does not sit level in the bike, so I think that's part of what we had going on. And it might have had to do with the aftermarket seat we used as well. But it's all working now. We're ready to see if it runs. Hey guys, this dirt bike has beat the crap out of me. I could not figure it out for the life of me. And it was something simple, so I'm going to show you. I've worked on a lot of Mikunis, but I haven't worked on a lot of the smaller youth model ones. I had this thing apart 3 or 4 times. Cleaned it, ultrasonic cleaned it, blew it out with air, rebuilt it twice with different parts, Moose parts, and then KTM parts. And it still leaked fuel every time after a few minutes of running. I'm going to show you why right now. This is the float bowl. On the back of the float bowl, there's a vent. This is the float bowl vent. This thing was completely clogged down here at the bottom hole. There was a layer of mud in there. I pressure tested it and vacuum tested it. It was holding pressure and vacuum. I cleaned that thing out, and now I'm going to put it back together. Hopefully this is the last time we got to put it back together. One more thing. I mentioned that I cleaned a lot of Mikunis before. I have literally never had one of those vents clogged before, so I didn't even think to check it. Let me know in the comments if you've seen that problem before and what kind of carburetor or what kind of machine it was on. This time we're using genuine Mikuni parts. Hopefully we have better luck with that. All right guys, this KTM has been here way too long. The customer's been really patient, but I need it out of here, so we gotta finish things up. We got a few things to button up. After we got the carburetor working, I asked him if he wanted me to take a look at the transmission leaks, and he does. So we got a couple gearbox leaks we're looking at. We got a missing exhaust bolt. We're gonna finish these things up today and get it on its way. We got some parts we need to take a look at. I ordered them. I ordered the OEM KTM parts from motorsport.com. See if they send me the right stuff. All right, looks like we got the exhaust bolt here, the gearbox drain plug, the O-ring for the clutch cover here, drain plug washer, and then we got the oil level sight glass. You had to get the whole assembly rather than just the gasket, so that's what we got. First things first, we'll go ahead and drain the gearbox. We'll go ahead and get the fill plug out of here. And then we got to get this sight glass out because that's one of the worst leaks. Sight glass is out. Its gasket's still in there, so we'll get something to pry that out. All right, the O-ring behind this piece of the clutch cover is leaking as well. We got a couple 8mm here. And for some reason, we've got a 5mm Allen on top. There's that O-ring in there. All right, we got the clutch side taken apart. Our other issue is over here on the exhaust. It's going to be a little hard to see, but one of the bolts holding the manifold on is missing. Maybe you can see that there. We got one on that side and not one on that side. So real quick, we're going to take out the old one just so we can put some Loctite on it and put them both back in and torque them to spec. You know what, guys? You know what my problem is? I don't know when to stop. I noticed that this cover bolt was leaking, so I tried to torque it down. The threads are stripped. And then because I wanted to fix that exhaust leak with the missing bolt, I took the pipe off. The gasket's absolutely gone. It's ruined. And I didn't order one. And now since I got that pipe off, I noticed that this connection between the pipe and the muffler is supposed to have springs on it, and it's all worn out. So now I gotta fix that too. I just don't know when to stop with this stuff, and the customer's not paying me to do that. I don't have to fix it. I just don't know what to do with myself sometimes. I guess I'm gonna order more parts. Maybe we'll get this thing out of here tomorrow or sometime this week. We'll see. All right, we're getting the exhaust flange bolted back on. We're gonna put blue Loctite on both these guys. Exhaust flange is on. We're gonna wait to put the tuned pipe on until we get the new connection tube that goes in between the muffler and the pipe. So we will go ahead and get the sight glass in and probably the drain plug and the, I really don't know what you call that thing, the O-ring behind this housing. Alright guys, the KTM 65SX is finally done. I got the O-ring wrapped up for the clutch cover. I got the new drain plug and washer back in. I got the sight glass back in. We slapped the exhaust back on with this new adapter and the springs there. Put a new gasket and springs over here. If I have to do anything else to this thing, I'm probably just gonna tell them it's totaled because I'm over this thing. But it is all wrapped up. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.